that took place in the Belgian capital, Brussels, where, according to various reports, because various channels are reporting differently, according to certain channels, 21 people have died in a series of bomb blasts that took place at the airport and also at the metro close to the EU institution. And the UK, the France, they have all increased their security. In that particular regard, the Belgian Prime Minister, Charles Michael, has said that terrorists have committed murder at the airport and the metro station. In a televised press conference, he said that military reinforcement have been deployed. He also said earlier that we feared a terrorism attack and it happened. So we'll be covering that in detail in our first segment, what exactly has happened there and what is going on currently at the moment, what sort of a security situation is being witnessed out there, and what sort of measures the other countries such as UK and in particular France are taking at the moment. The second story is about the historic visit of the US President, Mr. Barack Obama, to Cuba, where they held a very important and historic press conference when Mr. Barack Obama was seen standing next to Mr. Raul Castro, the president of Cuba, the younger brother of Fidel Castro, who's been there for many, many decades. Now, what is the significance of this particular visit? What exactly is going on? And today, interestingly, I was reading a very, I would say, interesting comment on the social media, where I'm not sure whether it's true or not, but it said that in 1973, Fidel Castro said that when the Americans will have a black president and the Pope will be from the Latin America, they will come to us, and we should expect that. And that actually happened after 45, 46 years. But anyway, moving on to our third story, and that is about the ongoing T20 World Cup. Pakistan is going to face New Zealand today at 7 o'clock, and that is going to be a do-or-die match for us because Pakistan has played 2 matches. They won against Bangladesh, but they lost against India. And now the equation is pretty interesting because the Kiwis, they won both their matches, one against India and the second one against Australia. And Pakistan has to win this match, and has also Pakistan is supposed to beat Australia to remain in the tournament and to qualify for the semi-finals. But talking about the first story, and that is about the Brussels attack, we have with us in our studio, on my right is Kamar Chima Saab, as a foreign affairs expert. So thank you very much for taking out your time. And we also have with us Professor Dr. Aqab Malik Saab, foreign affairs expert. So thank you very much for taking out your time. Let's start off from you, Kamar Chima Saab. 2 bombs at the airport so far, 1 in the metro. That was pretty close to the EU institution out there. According to various sources, because earlier RT was reporting that 34 people died, then the official figures which came out were 21. And you know, there's a mixed signal coming from that. Either they're trying to hide the exact number of people who've been killed in this incident, because according to certain sources, more than 150 have been injured as well. Suicidal bombing most probably was the reason of these casualties. Let's start off from there. So why Brussels? I mean, why Belgium? Why the center of this? I mean, everybody knows that that is the financial center of Europe. Why are they targeting Brussels?
Well, what I see is that Europe has to see certain strategic shocks since there has been an incident of Charlie Hebdo back in France. But why, as you're talking about why Brussels, what's the reason there? If you look at go for the demographic figures of the Belgium, you see that it's about 11 million people there in Belgium, and among them, there are only 6% people are the Muslims. And within that, you will see that there is a particular territory by the name of the Molenbeek that is very close to the Brussels. This Molenbeek is an area that has been that has a huge presence of the Muslims. There are about more than 300 mosques in all over the Belgium, but this particular territory that is called as a transit community, where people from Jordan, people from Turkey, people from Morocco, people from Tunisia lying there, and all these people are Arabs by nature, but they have a more religious orientation. And since there has been a call by IS leader Abu Bakr Baghdadi, these people have been ideologically motivated. But what the point we have to
they also believe that the Paris attacks were also planned in Brussels.
In Brussels, and the people who traveled from Syria, they resided in Molenbeek near Brussels. This is a place where you can buy guns, where you can get the guns, and this is a place where the Belgian authorities have been openly saying they don't have a control on this territory.
Is it a no-go zone for the police?
Yeah, no-go. That is being reported by the international media as well, and the Belgian authorities are accepting this. we do not have a controller, we do not have an intelligence apparatus within this Molenbeek area where the Muslims are residing. But unfortunately, they don't have too much intelligence information sharing from that, part of the Brussels. And then the people who migrated to France, they are going from this area. The person who, the Abdeslam, that has been caught 3-4 days ago, actually. He was residing in that territory. So what we have to see is that the Belgium authorities would have to be more vigilant, they would have to be more cautious, that they will have to look at this.
So will you consider this a security lapse, by the way? Because earlier, if you remember, the Belgian Prime Minister, Mr. Charles Michel, did say that they fear something of a similar sort that happened in Paris earlier. They expect that to happen in Brussels, and it happened.
Since long they have been saying that we have put everything on a red alert or high alert, but what we have seen that the people have been into the airport, they have been into the metro station. It means that there are serious security lapses, and for that they will have to, and the Belgium has time and again asking its people to be alert, stay alert, but unfortunately the law enforcement agencies are just not doing the job. That is why they have entered into that particular territory.
Maybe most probably now that they're at the highest level of their security alert. And the interesting part is that because since the Europeans, they have never had experienced anything of this sort. Now this is something which is very unusual for them, but it's happening at the end of the day. Dr. Aqab, same question put to you, sir. How do you see this?
Well, I see it slightly differently. He did mention Salah Abdeslam, who was captured on Friday, just a few days ago, having been on the run since November last year due to the attacks, and he was on the run. He was one of the only ones that got away, basically. The rest were killed, apparently. And having said that, his own environment, his parents were living in this Molenbeek area, which is dense Arab population, North African Arabs primarily. We've got indicated demographics,
all the way.
And those people there. And that's a lot to do with the colonial times, etc., and how they migrated across after those times. But I get a sense that that just because of the high density of Muslims indicates that there'd be an attack. I don't believe that at all. I mean, that could happen anywhere in most of the European cities with a high density of Muslims. I don't think that's the case at all. If reports are read, there was an indication that after having interrogated this Salah Abdeslam, then the police in Belgium released notes to the media to indicate that there could have been more attacks and they were in the planning stage. But, however, from what I read in the media, I noticed that this Salah Abdeslam was one of the weaker links, and that's what they wanted to find out if he was or not, and that he may provide information to that extent. If that is the case, because there's no certainty on this until we receive more information and what exactly is happening as far as the operations are going to proceed from this. Do you think,
sir, was the moment this man was picked up by the police a few days earlier and he was under interrogation, so all those who were indirectly or directly linked with him, they suddenly realized that this is the right time to do whatever?
Well, the fact of the matter is they could have been caught out. So there's a more there's more urgency to either dissipate and disappear or carry out an operation immediately, because you may be found out quite quickly because this person might give up the information, which could have happened. We don't know what's exactly happening behind the scenes as far as the police are concerned. We're only able to understand what's going on based on what they're providing, the information that they're providing. So, as I see it, attacks were planned or pre-planned, and this person may have had some information regarding that, and he may have spilled the beans. The fact of the matter is, if you're in a situation and you think that this is a case and you're one of the attackers, then you might find that you want to get on with this or disappear. And if this is a case, then there'll be a hunt for people, as it was, and there'll be a clampdown on the nation and finding out on the border areas. And the Belgian police and in Brussels had actually warned port areas in Britain, in Netherlands and France, that you've got to be aware that people may filter across, so you keep your eyes open.
Security in those areas as well,
heighten your security. So this was the case. So I find maybe there's no certainty to this until we find out.
Do you fear more attacks, by the way?
Well, that depends on what was going to happen. Maybe it was just limited to this. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was an opportunity attack. And if you look at these attacks, they were done in low security environments. Okay? So we're thinking about going
These were all soft targets, yeah?
Yeah, the soft targets. Going into the entrance of an airport, there's hardly any security. It's when you go through the security aspect, then go inside once you've cleared and done the check-in. This was the check-in point. So anybody can go in with anything. And that's in most European cities. And as far as the metro is concerned, nobody's going to check you with metal detectors or anything like this when you go into a metro. And I've been to Brussels, I've seen what it's like a while back. I don't think it's changed that much. But that's generally the case for most of the European
Might change from
capitals.
now onwards.
So but if I can add something on it, if you look at the majority, I think about the quarter of the people who have gone to Syria for joining IS, they have been from France and Belgium. And about 500 people or more than that figure have joined, the people in Syria. And
Faisal, there was this report that a lot of people who have moved back from Syria into Brussels.
That is the point. That is the point. That is the point. And those guys who are coming back from Syria, they are more trained. They are more capable. They can better detonate. They can better attack. They have a better planning. They have a better choices, and they are better motivated because they are just coming from a fighting zone.
But my point is, Shima-sab, why Brussels? I mean, they've got nothing to do. I mean, if somebody attacks France or somebody attacks Britain or somebody attacks Germany, because they are the major decision makers on the behalf of Europe. But Belgium isn't, I mean, in that regard.
But if you look at, as you mentioned, that this particular
or Luxembourg, or Netherlands, or Denmark, or Norway, for instance.
But if you look at this particular, this particular territory, Molenbeek, you would see that there has also been a sectarian attack in Belgium, some time ago, and there has not been a sectarian attack in any other country in the Europe. This country has seen that attack. One thing. Second is that, as I'm mentioning, this particular territory that is out of the control, that is a weak side or that is a weak point of this country, they have failed to get into it. And in Faisal, the most important thing is that the Belgian government has been giving funds to the religious groups there in this part of the country, in Molenbeek, so that they can practice they have a religious freedom or religious practices. And even back some time ago, the Belgian government has been calling people from Saudi Arabia and other places to come and you can preach in this part of the country. And the ulamas and the religious scholars have been coming from the Muslim countries. So what I feel is that this part of this country, what we call in the Molenbeek or the Belgium, they have a more close ideological partnership with the other ideological linkages they have in the Middle East. So that is what I feel is that, because they have been penetrating into this part of the territory, although this is considered that it is having the villas, or this is the bourgeoisie class is there, bourgeoisies are there in Molenbeek, people are there who are from well-off, but it has this part of the Belgium has not been culturally, socially connected with the other Brussels. So they are kind of an outgroup within the system. So that is why they are not that much attached to the authorities or the people or social contacts within the country.
Now, another point. Now, since we do know that this is going to go on because this has started, and this radical mindset phenomena, it does exist in Europe, unfortunately. People from Germany went to, according to them, it was jihad, so they went to Syria and even in Iraq. So the case was with Belgium and France. Now, looking at, let's do a bit of analysis of the Scandinavian countries. Very peaceful, great, but a lot of Muslims, and in particular, Pakistanis live in Oslo in Norway. And then you have a population which is around 1.1 million in UK. You've lived all your life there, actually, and you know exactly the kind of mindset which prevails out there. Unfortunately, what is happening, what I'm witnessing is that, I'm not saying that keeping a beard makes you a radical man, but what we have witnessed over a period of time, let's say last decade or so, that most of these Muslims who have moved or migrated to the Western countries, whether in Europe or in America, their mindset is pretty odd. They're comparatively more religious as compared to people living in Pakistan, for instance, from the similar background.
No, there are real reasons, sociological reasons as to why this occurs. I've witnessed this.
Are they marginalized or something?
Well, this is the perception that they are. Many of the Pakistanis that went to England, for example, and similar to many of the Moroccans and Algerians that went to France and Belgium and other countries, came from more impoverished and rural environments and wanted to see a better life, like economic migrants do. And they came into those jobs that didn't pay the best, but were hard labor and manual working class environments, which is all well and good. But when they came from those environments in their own home countries, They came with those attitudes from those home countries in those environments from that age, with not too much literacy, with a background and a culture feeling that they went to a new country to get their money and then come back. Well, they stayed. And there's a feeling where education frees you. Education allows you to open your mind. It allows you to see other alternatives. But without education, it's much more rare, and the ability to think isn't ingrained with a lack of education. And the fact of the matter is, these people that came from those rural environments and those impoverished, and that's not saying everybody. Certain minorities from different countries weren't like that. But predominantly in those Muslim countries whose populations did go to the European countries, for example, and we're going to talk differently for those Pakistanis that went to the United States, who are generally more educated. So there's a different phenomenon altogether. They tended to form social groups and subcultures within their environments because they felt more insecure. Mm-hmm. And as a result, they didn't want to branch out. And integration to them was like an anathema to their own values, as they perceived it, because they felt that they were being attacked. Over time, because of racism, it was intrinsic to that society. There is a certain backlash in every modern society, and every society in the world, when the large percentage of other people go there, you're going to have working class from the other societies and middle classes who are going to resent that. But the longer and bigger picture is that they tended to integrate to an extent, but they didn't fully. And as a result, you've got these small subcultural environments like the one in Mozambique, and in Paris and in Marseille, in northern England, in Luton and other parts of England as well, in Birmingham, that wanted to keep themselves together. And feeling insecure.
Dr. Aqab, were they not socially accepted initially, or the other point from the other perspective is that they never wanted to mingle. They never wanted to socialize. They never wanted to diffuse into that society.
But insecurity breeds that. Insecure, in the sense that you're going to be, you have to give your values up. You don't want to integrate because you're going to give your identity up. You don't want your children to become like the local population, primarily because you don't really understand it. You think it's completely alien to you, and the local population thinks you're kind of alien to them. Like Thatcher said, the famous quote, "We've been invaded by an alien culture." But that's the point. And that breeds an in-group, out-group dynamic where you feel more secure amongst yourselves, with your own people, so you breed that in-group culture amongst yourselves, and that builds a polarization between the communities. For example, Bradford. I was born and brought up in Bradford. However, I went back there last year for personal reasons, and I felt uncomfortable there because I felt there was so much segregation between the communities in schools. Predominantly Muslim and Pakistani, etc., Asian schools, and predominantly English schools, and very little mix in between, which actually propagates insecurity, lack of knowledge, and polarization. And then the feelings of insecurity breed themselves as feeling that you're being attacked, and siege mentality erupts. So you're pushing yourself together, thinking that you're being attacked on all sides, and a lot of these communities in those European countries feel like that because they trust each other, but they don't want to branch out, a lack of integration. And this primarily, mostly amongst Muslims, in fact, would you believe that? Not amongst the Hindu populations that went from India. They've mixed and become middle class and educated. Do you think bringing
those Muslims or those communities into the main loop will serve the purpose?
Well, the idea is to integrate. What I did was educate myself, and then by educating myself, I mixed more. And I learned more about the local community, the English community, and understood it better. And as a result, I'm able to communicate. And I'm more accepted because you take on the traits of the local community as well. That's not a bad thing, but it's bred into you that it would have been bad, especially if the parents are not so educated, that they're being attacked. And then the children carry that through, especially if they're not being educated.
Before I move on to Cheema Saab, the first generation, the second and the third and the fourth, what's the difference in their mindset? Is it the same, or is it changing over a period of time?
I think it's changing. I think I'm very different from my father, but my father was more liberal, I think. He was a tough man, but he was a more open-minded man. Myself, I'm even more open-minded. I'm also more accepting, more tolerant in the environment, and more willing to integrate and learn about other people, and as a result, take on that. My children are going to be this even more than me, and I'm very happy with that. But I don't feel that is being an attack on my culture in any which way.
So if you allow me, we've been joined in by the Pakistani ambassador serving in Belgium. She's currently in Brussels at the moment. Rehman Hashmi, Assalamu Alaikum, and thank you very much for talking to us, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for calling me.
Ma'am, first of all, tell us about the overall environment out there in Belgium. What's going on? Obviously, it was a very, very tragic incident that took place today. What is the current status? What is the current scenario, ma'am? What do you see?
Well, let me brief you, not in detail, but as briefly as I can. As you know, so far there have been 7 attacks in Brussels. There were 2 in the morning at the Brussels International Airport,
All right.
and then followed by 2 at the metro station near the European Parliament, followed by another 2 at the metro station near the European Commission, followed by 1 more near the King's Palace. So there are in total 7 attacks that have happened so far.
Okay.
In these 7 attacks, so far, according to the news, 38 people have unfortunately lost their
38.
lives, and over 100 are injured. But this is a developing situation, so the numbers are expected to rise.
I mean, this is very unfortunate. Now, ma'am, according to sources, I mean, this attack which took place in Paris earlier, that was also planned in Brussels. And earlier I was reading a statement by the Prime Minister of Belgium, Mr. Charles, that they feared an attack and it happened. Now, I'm not going to ask you because you're a diplomat, you can't answer that in that way. But ma'am, as far as the security is concerned, did you see any change during the last couple of days? Was it beefed up? Were they on high alert or something? If they had that kind of an intelligence info?
Well, if I have your permission, let me update you a little bit on this. As you would recall,
Please.
When the Paris attacks happened, the only city in Europe that went into a complete security lockdown for an extended period of 5 days was Brussels.
Correct.
Because all the terrorist attacks in Paris were traced back to Brussels, because the mastermind were expected to be here in Brussels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Belgium has been in a state of high alert for over 6 months now. It was only lowered down to level 3, but it has again been raised to level 4. So Belgium has been in a state of high alert for the last 6 months. So that is why when you move around Belgium, you see armed gunmen in front of every important building, including in front of big shopping malls, and sometimes even walking the corridors of these malls. So there has been this sense of heightened security, and there was this expectation, especially after they had caught the mastermind of Paris attacks, that there might be a little bit of a reaction to that. So, of course, the security establishment was very aware of this.
Now, what we've also learned that the airports, they have been shut down, the metro has been closed.
Well, it has been completely shut down for the next 48 hours.
Okay.
So there is no flight coming in and out of Belgium for the next 48 hours, and the entire metro system has also been shut down for at least the next 48 hours.
Okay, ma'am, is there a curfew-like situation in Brussels at the moment? Can people go out
of the house? No, I would not say so. It is the highest level of security alert. The people have been asked to avoid unnecessary travel and not to gather in large numbers for any occasion. But there is no curfew. I mean, I'm looking out of my office window at this moment, and of course the traffic is not as much as it usually is, but the life is going on.
Anyway, ma'am, thank you very much for talking to us, and please be safe, stay safe, and definitely we'll get in touch with you again. Thank you very much once again for talking to us. That was the Pakistani ambassador in Brussels. Now, she has said that 7 attacks have been reported so far, 2 at the airport, 2 at the metro, 2 at the metro close to the EU institution, 1 at, but close to the King's Palace. So far, if I'm not wrong, she said 38 people have been killed, more than 100 have been injured so far. Let's start from there. So 7 attacks in 1 day in the capital of, I would say, EU, isn't it, sir? Mm-hmm.
The question is, she's saying that the level of the security was at 3, and now that has been moved to 4.
That is the highest level.
That's the highest level. The question is, you have got the highest level, and you have got the best intelligence operators, and you have been on a high alert since last 6 months, and then there are security lapses. There is a big question mark. how you are
So
looking.
Pakistan has become a security state. When we enter in a hotel, it's like we are entering a, some sort of a bunker or someplace.
But I think
we are used to it. Those people are not.
What I think is that, as she's saying, the Brussels have been a high alert. It is not a normal place. It was not a normal place. It is not a normal place. She's saying since last 6 months, she has been living there. She has been residing there. She better knows there has been a high alert. So what I foresee is that if the places has been high alert on last 6 months, and they know the people who have been working in Paris, the terrorists they have direct links, people in Brussels, so they monitor the air traffic, they monitor the tele density, they monitor that the telephone connection or the social media,
various means and tools.
They have been contacting,
observe, yeah?
but unfortunately there has not been a control over that. One thing is, what I see is that security lapses are there. Second, that the people get panicked because they are not used to, as we are talking here.
That's what I saw on TV,
for instance, they were asked that do not contact via telephone, always contact via social media, because there is too much traffic on the telephone, and the people need to contact via the social media, Twitter or Facebook or whatever they want to contact. So what I have been seeing is that Brussels, which has been a hot spot, or hot for everything as far as the debate is concerned in Europe, the Brussels need to move forward from this position, and they need to be tough on the elements on which they have not been tough.
Going after Muslims, you mean?
Definitely. If they are involved in that attacks, then they should be.
Do you think that is going to trigger more problems for them?
That will trigger, and that will trigger more, not in just Brussels, but even in Europe. What they have been saying, that we need to send back those people who are committing crimes here.
They should. I mean, why not?
So what is that? That means that if they commit such crime, they need to be sent back, and people who are involved in Brussels or in Belgium, they must be dealt with the iron hand. How can you deal with them in a soft? No, first you have to deal with the ideologically. You have to deal them in a security manner. You have to you have to sort them in every manner. You have to suck them into a more major cultural where they feel that where the Muslims feel they are not getting too much.
If you want to hold them accountable, don't you think that this is high time for the Belgian authorities to talk to them, to negotiate with them? I mean, obviously everybody is not a criminal out there. It's like one in like maybe thousands,
Definitely. But the question is that those who are already ideologically motivated, and these are the people who have been saying that if you look at the ideology of the IS, if these people are following the ideology of the IS, what they're saying, we have to attack the Western governments, we have to attack the Western people. Why? Because those people are representative of the government, and if the West kills the Muslims, then we need to kill the people from the West, or the governments who have been attacking them.
Just to make a point.
That's a point. That is what they're saying. If IS and Al Qaeda, they have the same ideology.
It's a very complicated situation, I would say. Only time will tell what is going to happen. But I would say this is not an easy task for any government out there. Dr. Aqab Malik, including comments for this topic.
You're absolutely correct. You've got to appreciate that Brussels, Belgium, and most European countries have evolved a sense of civil rights, human rights, to an extent. Maybe you may not see that in the way they go into other countries or not, but let's not talk about other countries. Let's talk about their own particular populations. And these communities, these ethnic communities that come from originally other countries, or maybe that were colonies, etc., have been given rights, as anybody else has within that country. Now, if you're going to go target an ethnic profile and go target particular communities, those communities are going to shut down. And it's going to justify everything that IS wants, and this is what Al Qaeda wanted.
It's a win-win situation for them, yes?
Yeah, that's going to justify the reasoning behind them becoming a subculture, not integrated with the rest of the community, and say, well, this is exactly what we were saying. That's what
do you think this is going to isolate them further?
Well, that's the point. This is where the in-group, out-group process go further and polarizes further. And you've got to have lived there to understand it really and appreciate the way people think, rather than give an audience point of view. And that point of view is that if you really want information, you've got to be able to talk to them.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to facilitate understanding communication.
Talk to their...
You can't go and target the main members and go after people just because they're Muslim. That's not possible. They are part of that population now.
And it's a reality.
And that's a reality.
And
the reality is...
You just can't... I
didn't interrupt. So the point of reality is that if you're going to go after particularly the Muslims, then you're going to have a backlash. and you're going to get nowhere as far as intelligence is concerned. Now, they've already, you say there's intelligence crisis and etc. like this, and there's a lot of lapses. Well, that's pretty obvious, primarily because the local population, we say the Belgians, the Flemish and the French, the populations of Belgium who have allowed these people to come in because they're former colonies, and that's history, but given them the rights. And there are a lot of issues and a lot of social problems, there's no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
These people are going to feel as if everything they said before is vindicated.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go after them, it's going to make the social dynamics worse, and you more likely have more reactions. Now, we've seen a number of times in Paris and Marseille, in France, riots because social conditions and things, and these social conditions probably get worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the best way to go after a general population just because of a few people who don't represent that population. So I disagree with you there completely. These people who, like ISIS or Daesh, wants to target the Western people are not representative of their government. The government is a representative of them, yeah, and their concerns. And they don't want to be targeted. But that doesn't mean they want to break their society down and the civil values that they cherish, and the freedom to believe what they want, and the freedom to express what they want, which is under siege now. And this is exactly what you're going to do. If you put it into further siege, you're going to do what ISIS and Daesh wants.
Yes.
And you can't do that.
They will be serving their purpose. Anyway, so time to move on to our next segment, and that is about the historic visit of the US President Barack Obama to Cuba. Shima Saab, imagine the younger brother of Fidel Castro, Raul Castro, standing on this rostrum right in front of the American flag, and the American President Barack Obama on the left side on a rostrum again in front of the Cuban flag. And now hunky-dory situation was there. It seemed as if everything was fine between Cuba and the Americans for the last maybe 70 years.
70.
What a U-turn.
But I think we will have to look at the strategic foreign policy calculus of the President Obama. What we have seen is that President Obama has been calculating that if United States is a great power, and a great power is unable to achieve results from a long period of time for the sanctions they have put on Iran or on Cuba, and they have failed to get results, so what we need to do? So if there are sanctions, the sanctions must not remain if the results are not coming, because that loses your own power. So what Obama has done, he went for cozying up with Iran, he went for cozying up with the Cuba, because he knew that sanctions are not working.
These are great diplomatic achievements of
that is a great diplomatic achievement, definitely great diplomatic achievement, a diplomatic thought. What you say, there has been 54 years diplomatic hostility between both the countries, and you know, the President Obama went there, and the people are calling him a Saint Obama. People are calling that, officially, they are calling that, why don't you stay here for a month or for a year? So the government is calling, the government is officially giving too much importance to this invitation, that if there were potholes on the roads, they have been filled, the buildings have been colored, so they are welcoming in a true sense to President Obama, and they have given a very, very great and warm welcome to the President Obama, that it has been, like, as you are saying, that they have been friends since long. But I think it was a long due policy that the American government they should have done away with it since long. But unfortunately, it's as you are saying, the other Castro said that the black president and the Pope will come.
Well, actually, interestingly, Aqab, I'm not sure whether it's correct or not, but there was this some post on Facebook, actually. Did you see that?
I put it on.
Okay, you were the one.
One of them. Yeah, I was probably one of them.
Okay. Anyway, it said that in 1973, Fidel Castro said that when Americans will have a black president and there's going to be a Pope from the Latin America, then the Americans will contact us and they'll come to us and welcome them. Yeah. I mean, whether it's true or not, but that makes a lot of sense, by the way.
Well, I've heard this this quote before, a couple of years ago as well. So I re-put it up because I thought it was very appropriate for today. I think it's important to realize that Obama's got a different attitude toward things. He is completely out of the box as far as American politics are concerned. Number one, he's black. Amazing change in American history from what it was before. And people can't underestimate the dynamic change America is going through. There are a lot of problems. We got people like Trump who represent a lot of the ultra-conservative,
super white people,
super white supremacists, etc. You know, who, and then you've got people on the Democrats. I'm a little biased. I'm a liberal Democrat.
Be yourself.
So this is the way I'm a liberal person. I'm a liberal Democrat. Although I do understand Bernie, for example, and the Social Democrats, Socialist Democrat. I'm more oriented towards that. So I'm going to be a little biased, but that's just my perspective in life, I guess, because of what I've experienced. But Obama represented something different, and he wanted to do something different that changes a calculus, as Jim Saab just explained, and that is entirely true. And I think
Obama is reaching out for the Latin American countries, whereas
he reached out for Iran. He reached out for Iran, which is even further away if you think about it. As far
despite all odds, look at the reaction of the Israelis against Obama. And if you remember that historic speech when he spoke to the Republicans, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, when he went to America,
invited over.
He was invited over. He did not meet the president there
because it was a Republican invitation only.
So that's what I'm saying.
But you look at the dynamic change that are taking place in America, and it's a very positive sign. So we shouldn't just concentrate on the bad side. There are a lot of positive issues there that we need to look at, and this is one of them, and I'm very happy about that. Cuba, Havana, I like salsa, you see. So I learned to salsa dance when I was in London, and I enjoyed it for the sake of doing it because I like dancing anyway, so I admit that. But although my father would not agree.
Salsa and tango, huh?
But the fact of the matter is, I think it's a dynamic change, it's a positive change, and it's a needed change. Yeah? And Obama didn't want such relations to be held hostage continuously for so long. And there's a need to open up that society. There's a need from within that society in Cuba to open up, which has been economically stagnant to an extent. It's good in many things, free healthcare, education. That's a positive aspect of it. But when you look at other economic indicators, they're falling flat. And you look at the houses, the roads and the cars and etc. Because of the embargo. And that's where the biggest problem is going to come for Obama, is the embargo. Can they get it through the Congress, which is dominated by Republicans? But the problem with that is, once the elections occur, most likely, I hope, Democrats will come in with a larger share of Congress, etc., because they're up for the polls. And maybe it won't change before then, too early, because the Republicans virtually own the Congress, but I hope it change soon after. And that will lead to real change, because the companies are already coming in. Google's already being contacted to open up Wi-Fi, and internet services, and hotels have come in, and major deals have been done now for the first time in many years. Yeah. So this is a very positive change, I think, for the people of Cuba as well, to open up. But there are going to be a lot of hurdles. And in that interview, in that session between Obama and Raul Castro, there was a lot of tension about human rights.
Now, for the first time, Raul Castro was very open.
But he was irritated as well, apparently. But
people haven't witnessed that
ladies
before,
ladies in white, the wives of the political prisoners, who were taken up and held before Obama came. Well, that is a contention. That's exactly what we don't want to happen.
Human rights is another issue.
So, but it's a big issue.
Yeah, that's what the
but then you can argue all types of things.
If as Malik Sahab was just rightly pointing out, Obama took just the 40 legislature along with him, just to show that there is a bipartisan support from the United States, because we are opening up to there. I think more than 800 people from America went with the president to open up, to do businesses there.
What a big delegation that was.
That is a big delegation.
Yeah, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
It's all about. And one more thing, as we were talking about, the human rights. Obama told Raul Castro that if I'm coming, I'm going to meet the dissident movement. A dissident movement is the one there. They said that we need the Cuba needs to open up more, and that as we're talking about the human rights condition. So the dissident movement that was already there, as Raul Castro is saying that I'm going to go in 2018, and we are bringing new young blood or young generation is going to take over Cuba. So that would be a new opening for the Cuba, not just externally or internally as well, because it's not just opening up to the external powers. It will be opening up to the own people. More people being sucked into the government. More new people, young generation, they're being sucked into the government. That will
we're talking about a new Cuba.
Yeah, new Cuba, because these people have been in Cuba since last 1960. So 61 somewhere, because there was a Cuban Revolution. 59.
But let me talk to you about a positive sign as far as Pakistan is concerned. There's a close friend of mine who's actually a student of ours in NDU, and he was the first Pakistani ambassador to open up the first mission in Cuba.
And when was that, by the way?
Najm al-Saqib. No, he opened
I know
it
Najm al-Saqib, but when?
2007. I think he opened it up, and he was there for just over 5.5 years.
Okay.
And then he came back, and we went through the national security course with us. And I was lucky enough to interact with him and supervise this thesis of all things as well. But I was just, I wrote an email to him earlier on. I was very happy to know that something positive has happened with us well before the Americans, years ago, nearly nine years ago approximately. You know,
if you
we opened our mission
the
up there.
earthquake of 2005, the Cubans, I mean, they helped us in every possible way.
And you see, as a result, we've had immense contact with them. As far as Pakistan is concerned. So we knew that this was going to happen.
That was the first time actually we got to know about their medical services.
Medical services and many of the doctors, Pakistani doctors and nurses as well. Our students have been there and they have come back. A lot of experience.
And that embargo that goes, and that allows us even more to be integrated more with that Cuban society, which is absolutely wonderful, I think. It's full of energy, full of
but they've been isolated for such a long time that, you know, people
well, that doesn't mean
about Cuba.
They've got a
they need
hunger,
to market their
they've
own
got a
country.
hunger to move forward and do things, so they're going to blossom, hopefully, once they're allowed to.
And even
that's the crux of it.
But one last quick comment before we move on to our last topic, and that is about cricket. Don't you think high time for the Americans to also realize the importance of Venezuela? Whether Hugo Chavez is there or not, whatever he said in the past, that's history. But why not?
Well, Hugo Chavez is dead, and that was the end of that. But his lieutenant, you could say, his captain, took charge.
That's why I said with or without Hugo Chavez.
So, I mean, I think there is change. There's a lot of discontent now, I think, in Venezuela. But remember, Venezuela being part of OPEC is a very strong country if it's allowed to.
But looking at the current oil prices,
if
the Russians have concerns, the Saudis have
well,
concerns.
These are going to balance
But the
up.
point is that when you talk about Venezuela, I mean, I was reading an article, the inflation out there is about 250%.
They need to sort the economy out.
That is the problem.
But that's a lot to do with external factors as well.
They made a lot of money
because
of their oil exports, and especially when they signed a lot of deals with the Chinese. I think China is the country that can actually rescue them. Let's hope for the best. But time to move on to a last segment that is about cricket. But let's start off, I'm sure we all are not cricket experts, but we do love to play cricket, at least to watch it. Pakistan versus Kiwis, right? Look at their form, look at our form. Obviously, let's be honest, there's no match. But I just have a feeling. I always have this feeling, but maybe I'm a little over-optimistic. that Pakistan might do something today.
I think we always have a feeling that Pakistan must win. And as far as our previous match was concerned, we were very hopeful with this. But I think one thing very important, and Faisal, you know a lot about cricket, I think we need to go for the structural reforms into the system. Until and unless there are no structural reforms, we can't see happiness for a longer period of time. Happiness comes and then it goes very early, and we are just, you know, we all have hopes and high hopes that this time because we have hopes, we will win. But that's not a solution, I think. As far as cricket is concerned, until and unless there are no structural reforms or there is no local level cricket, you know, that until and unless that doesn't breed up from the school, college, university, district level, this is a country of more than 200 million people, and we deserve victory. We deserve happiness, and you know the cricket is the only common point where we get connected.
Yeah, 19 million. We need one player out of 19 million. Okay, let's minus the females. You know, 9 million at one player.
They're pretty good, aren't they? That shows you female empowerment is all what it's all about.
Really,
isn't it? We need to empower females even more in other aspects, and they'll show the men up even more. Yeah? How about that? But we don't, unfortunately. But that's another story. But yeah, I was feeling hopeful, but then I'm a realist. So what do you do? I think.
What's your take on today's match?
With New Zealand's very strong.
It's very strong.
It's very strong.
Williamson, Coptel, Brendan McCullum, Nathan McCullum, Corey Anderson.
There's a joke I used to say, because I'm not an expert in cricket. I used to play cricket. I was a goalkeeper. I don't know if you get that one, though. But I used to play both. But anyway, the fact of the matter, I'm no expert in cricket, but I know the population wants to win. They need a bit of a good reward, a good, you know, a motivational, inspirational match to just get their hopes high rather than go, oh,
well,
no,
in the other pool, the West Indies team as well as the English team, they're performing really well. I mean, they're really coming up, you know, they're on a move, they're on a high. And over here, when you look at Pakistan, I think this is a do or die.
We need to restructure maybe now.
I mean, you
we
know,
need some introspection here about what we're doing wrong.
Shahriyar Khan Sahib, the chairman PCB, said the other day during a press conference, I mean, instead of bucking up his team, he almost demotivated them. I mean, that, we're a number 7 team, shouldn't expect much,
Maybe we change everything around, restructure everything.
Had some even you don't say that after the match. Where the hell were you before the match started? You're the chairman. You could have done so much. But anyway, that's a separate chapter.
But I think if
the internal politics has...
Yes, women are winning, but if we can have a mixed team, if it's that possibility.
should be the captain.
I think that will cause a few more problems.
Anyway, Srinivas, was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Dr. And that's all we have for this moment. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, you take good care of yourself. We're going to show you a very special program tomorrow, and that has been specially prepared for the 23rd of March. The program is going to be about an open session with the students. And Salah Abdeslam is going to be our panelist there, so he is going to be answering a lot of questions coming from the female students of Islamic University. You'll be able to watch that at 5 o'clock tomorrow and again at 11 p.m. at night. I'll see you. Till then, you take good care of yourself. Khulda Hafiz.